Welcome back to the channel. Today we got Lenny McLean, The Tale of the Guv'nor documentary, and this was created by Dark Sleuth Secrets. The original link will be in the description. So with that being said, we're smoking all my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking, and we about to witness a dragon. I know he was known as what the hardest man in what was it, like in the UK or something like that, but hey, we about to find out. Here we go.
Hands. Show me your hands. Not bad. Not as bad as mine, but don't forget, I'm a lot older. I mean, I've had bare knuckle fights for money. I've had unlicensed fights for money. And as you say, in the 70s, late 70s and the 80s, I was the absolute governor on the cobbles. No way in England could beat me. Now, I've retired because I had a bit of trouble a couple of years ago.
You're using this now?
So now I'm using this, and I'll do a lot of poetry. But let me give you a bit of advice. Always keep yourself fit. Always be strong and train hard. Even though bare knuckle fighting don't normally last more than 2 minutes, but always keep yourself fit and strong. And remember, as you fight, you start getting a reputation. And there'll always be mugs out there looking for a rep.
Right.
So always be on your guard and always keep strong. If you're strong, you'll always be in front of the other guy. Always remember that. Keep strong and fit. And hate from there to your ankles.
Sounds like a lot of the guys I was raised by. He would have fit. He would have fit good in New York for sure.
Hate. So
I worked with a guy once who got his jaw broken by Lenny McLean. When Lenny was a doorman. He Camden Pally, and this bloke was just drunk, fell through an emergency door. Next thing, he's just picking himself up off his feet. Next thing, you know, he's got Lenny looming over him and just hits him once and broke his jaw in 4 places.
Now, fucking interesting. If you don't want to be counting the fingers you haven't got, or sharing a bed with the Antichrist, I suggest you get those guns. Quick!
Him, because he looks the part as well. 6'2", broad, thick, caveman style, chocolate diet, fingers thick like that, knuckles fucking like that, fists fucking like that, tall.
all the young kids out there, they want to make a name for themselves, but they're retired. But you never know, so I keep well and I'm fast. And I'm always thinking, and I'm always on the ball. 48.
With thousands of satisfied customers and record, we know what.
Yeah, just off the intro, I'm pulled in. Shout out to Dark Sleuth Secrets. Just off the intro.
I'm a nice guy, but sometimes I lose all my senses and become nasty. These chilling words from Lenny McLean himself only begin to scratch the surface of a man who was as feared as he was revered. Known as the Guv'nor and the King of the Cobbles, McLean was a legend in the gritty underworld of London and a formidable figure in the brutal world of bare-knuckle boxing. He is said to have been involved in between 2,000 to 3,000 unauthorized fights. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall in his prime, McLean was a colossus, weighing over 280 pounds and with a face like the Incredible Hulk. He was considered to be the unofficial British heavyweight champ by the most fearsome gangsters and hard men in Britain. In this video, we'll explore his rise as a bare-knuckle champion, his notorious reputation in London's criminal underworld, and how he left a mark not just as a fighter, but as a complex man with a story unlike any other. Join us as we unravel the life of the man who might still hold the title of Britain's toughest, the legendary Lenny McLean. Leonard John McLean was born into a large working-class Irish family in Hoxton, in the East End of London. His father, Leonard John McLean Sr., had served as a British Marine during World War II. However, after returning from the war and contracting a debilitating illness in India, for which he was given just 2 years to live, he turned to a life of petty crime. Tragically, he passed away when Lenny was just 4 years old. After the death of Lenny's father, his mother, Rose, remarried. Her new husband, Jim Irwin, was also entangled in petty criminal activities. However, more distressing was his violent nature. Irwin was a notorious alcoholic who frequently beat Lenny and his siblings. This abuse was so severe.
Every time you hear about the biggest gangsters and the most toughest people, usually you're going to see a troubled childhood. That will be a common theme there. And that's because their innocence was violated and stolen a lot when they were children.
That by the age of 10, Lenny had already suffered multiple broken bones at the hands of Irwin, including his legs and ribs. The domestic violence reached a harrowing peak when Lenny's younger brother Raymond became a victim of Irwin's brutality, enduring a severe beating with a belt. This incident incited a furious response from Jimmy Spinks, a local gangster and Lenny's great uncle. Spinks intervened forcefully, attacking Irwin in a near-fatal altercation, where he threatened to cut the guy's throat if he ever laid a hand on the children again. This incident highlighted the severe and violent environment in which Lenny was raised, shaping his tough persona and resilience in the face of adversity. When Lenny McLean would step into the world of street fighting, he saw each of his victories as more than just personal triumphs. For him, they were battles won for the young, defenseless boy he once was. The anger and pain from his abusive childhood were unleashed with such fury that it often required a group of men to pull him away from his beaten opponents. This sheer intensity in his fights earned him the nickname 10 Men Len, as that was how many it would take to pull him off a guy. During his turbulent teenage years, Lenny found himself rubbing shoulders with local criminals, leading him into a life of petty crime. This path landed him in a young offenders institution for 18 months when he was caught carrying a bayonet at the age of 13, a stark experience that marked his early life. Upon his release, his attempt at a legitimate job ended abruptly. He was fired for assaulting his supervisor. Left with limited options, McLean took on various odd jobs like window cleaning. By 15, he discovered that his fighting talents could be more than just a way to settle scores. It could be a livelihood. The turning point came about almost by chance in his late teens. After his car broke down in the Blackwall Tunnel, he sought a replacement from Kenny Mack, a gypsy used car salesman in Kingsland Road, Hackney. However, when the new car also failed, Lenny confronted Mack, demanding a refund. Instead of a refund, Mack made an unusual proposition. He offered McLean a different car if he would fight in one of his unlicensed boxing matches that night. McLean agreed, and in Mack's yard, he floored his opponent in under a minute, walking away with a hefty 500-pound prize. This unexpected victory marked the beginning of a new chapter. Kenny Mack and McLean struck up a friendship, with Mack often acting as Lenny's manager in numerous subsequent fights. This was the launchpad for McLean's rise as the most notorious bare-knuckle street fighter in Britain, a title he would carry with formidable pride. In the 1970s, when renowned boxing promoter Frank Warren established the National Boxing Council, it opened a new door for Britain's toughest underground fighters to step into the ring legally. Lenny McLean, notorious for his violent reputation and a criminal record that barred him from becoming a licensed boxer, found his place in the world of unlicensed boxing. Although this realm was legal, it wasn't under the purview of the British Boxing Board of Control. In this gray area of the boxing world, McLean shone brightly, quickly building a fearsome reputation. Among the most memorable chapters in McLean's fighting career was his epic trilogy with his arch-rival, Roy Pretty Boy Shaw. Their rivalry was intense and filled with drama. In their first encounter, McLean suffered a loss, submitting verbally. He later claimed that his loss was due to tampered gloves that hampered their maneuverability. But the tables turned in their rematch. McLean delivered a stunning performance, knocking Shaw out as well as out of the ring in the first round. Their rivalry reached its climax in their final showdown at the Rainbow Theatre in Finsbury Park, London, in September 1978. In a display of raw power and skill, McLean sealed their feud with a brutal first-round knockout, marking a definitive end to their storied rivalry. At the peak of his career, McLean was an imposing figure, standing 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighing over 280 pounds. He was a man who carried his size with confidence, boldly claiming he could take on anyone, anywhere, be it in a formal boxing match or an unlicensed bout, with or without gloves. His reputation was such that he even issued challenges to some of the biggest names in...
As I watched this, I realized why, a lot of... When guys like this meet us so-called Black American guys, why there be a certain, connection there, a certain understanding. Like, for example, Tyson Tyson Fury dad naming him after Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. It's like when you look at the way Mike Tyson grew up, when you look at the way, I mean, that's why I said he would have, he would have been loved in New York too. When you see him spazzing out like that, that's that childhood trauma right there. That's what that is. It fills you with darkness.
In boxing, including the legendary Muhammad Ali and the iconic Mr. T. However, these high-profile call-outs...
Hold on, I gotta see that. He called them out? Hold on.
A man who carried his size with confidence, boldly claiming he could take on anyone, anywhere, be it in a formal boxing match or an unlicensed bout, with or without gloves. His reputation was such that he even issued challenges to some of the biggest names in boxing, including the legendary Muhammad Ali and the iconic Mr. T. However, these high-profile call-outs never came to fruition. Lenny's fame in the unlicensed boxing world won him both admirers and adversaries. His opponent's supporters and punters who lost money on his fights often held grudges against him. His role as a bouncer in pubs and clubs over the years also earned him some enemies, especially when throwing them out were usually accompanied by a beating. His life in this world wasn't without its dangers. He suffered 2 separate gunshot wounds and was ambushed and stabbed on 2 different occasions. One of these incidents involved Barry Dalton, a former bare-knuckle fighter turned protection racketeer. Dalton and McLean had a serious falling out, leading to a dangerous confrontation where Dalton showed up at McLean's home with a shotgun, a threat made more harrowing as McLean's children were inside the house at the time. McLean later claimed he had a subsequent encounter with Dalton, where he punished him for the threat. Dalton, a man with many enemies, met a violent end in 1992, found dead with a bullet in his head. While McLean openly declared his innocence in Dalton's murder, rumors circulated that it was the work of East London gangsters. However, Dalton's murder still remains officially unsolved, leaving the true story to speculation and whispers in the underworld. In 1992, McLean found himself in the midst of controversy while working as the head doorman at the Hippodrome, a popular nightclub in London's Leicester Square. The incident involved a man named Gary Humphreys, who was causing chaos in the club. Suffering from severe mental health issues and reportedly under the influence of drugs, Humphreys was seen streaking, urinating on the floor, and harassing female customers. McLean admitted to giving Humphreys what he called a backhander before removing him from the premises. Tragically, Humphreys died later that night, found with a broken jaw and severe neck injuries. The aftermath saw McLean arrested and charged with Humphreys' murder. He vehemently declared his innocence from the start, suggesting that the police held a vendetta against him due to his past associations, notably with notorious East End gangsters, the Cray twins. As the case unfolded, McLean's charge was downgraded to manslaughter, and eventually, he was acquitted of this charge at the Old Bailey. It came to light that Humphreys had been involved in a scuffle with the police after being ejected from the nightclub. The altercation reportedly involved the police using a stranglehold to restrain him. Testimony from Professor Gresham, a renowned pathologist, indicated that this stranglehold likely caused the neck injuries leading to Humphreys' death. However, McLean was found responsible for the broken jaw Humphreys suffered. Consequently, he was charged and found guilty of grievous bodily harm. McLean subsequently served an 18-month prison sentence for this offense.
Yeah, McLean was a true tough guy. True tough guy.
Lenny's formidable reputation was never more evident than during an incident at the Barbican Club in London's Smithfield Market. An 18-man stag party, having been drinking heavily, started causing trouble after complaining about the bar's drink prices. Their rude behavior escalated to the point of verbally abusing the barmaid, reducing her to tears. It was then that Lenny decided it was time for them to leave. He approached the rowdy group, his presence alone a warning. However, as they were being escorted out, they started concealing glasses, bottles, and ashtrays in their pockets, arming themselves for a potential brawl. Lenny, sensing the impending chaos, asked the owner, Dennis McCarthy, if he was going to assist with the situation. Dennis's response was simple: "I'll pay you for this," and he locked the door behind them as they stepped outside. In his autobiography, The Guv'nor, McLean described the ensuing confrontation. He pulled out a Kosh and confronted the group, claiming to have taken them down like Skittles, slashing through them, By the time the police arrived, McLean claimed to have incapacitated 9 of the group, leading to arrests and hospital visits for some. Back at the police station, the reality of the situation began to sink in for the stag party. From his cell, Lenny shouted at them, "Look at me. You're not seeing me with drink inside me. I'm like this all the time. A stone-cold, sober, raving lunatic." Initially, Lenny faced the threat of prosecution for grievous bodily harm, given the extent of injuries suffered by some members of the party. However, in a surprising turn of events, he was informed 3 weeks later that the charges would be dropped. The reason given? It was deemed impractical to use public funds to charge one man with assaulting 18 others. McLean reflected on this outcome, noting the absurdity of the situation and how it would have appeared in the media. As an unlicensed boxer, McLean's notoriety earned him the title, the King of Bouncers, in London's club scene. He co-owned the Guv'nor's pub in East London with Charlie Cray, the Cray twins' elder brother. McLean also worked as a fixer and bodyguard for various figures, from criminals to celebrities like Mike Reed and Boy George, and even for TV show casts. His autobiography reveals how his reputation facilitated criminal activities and deterred groups like the IRA and the Mafia. McLean's acting career started with a small, uncredited role as a ringside spectator in the 1990 drama film The Craze. He then landed the role of gangster Eddie Davies in ITV's customs drama The Knock. Another notable appearance was his brief role as a police chief in the 1997 sci-fi movie The Fifth Element. However, it was his role in Guy Ritchie's 1998 film Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels that truly put McLean on the cinematic map. In this critically acclaimed film, he portrayed Barry the Baptist, a formidable criminal enforcer. This role not only showcased his acting skills, but also highlighted his imposing presence, making it his most famous and memorable performance. Barry the Baptist, played by Lenny McLean in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, is shot in the stomach by Victor Maguire's character, moments after Barry throws a hatchet into his back. His lifeless body is later found by Nick Moran and Jason Fleming's characters, symbolically sprawled on a couch. This violent end in the film reflects the dog-eat-dog world of McLean's real life in the London underworld, where betrayal and sudden violence were common. While filming Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Lenny McLean initially thought he was just battling the flu. However, as his health rapidly declined, he was diagnosed with pleurisy, an inflammation of the tissues surrounding the lungs, causing sharp chest pain. Further medical examinations uncovered a graver situation: lung cancer that had extensively spread to his brain. McLean's struggle came to a tragic end on July 28, 1998, in Bexley, London, only weeks before the film's release. Director Guy Ritchie paid tribute to McLean by dedicating the film to him. Additionally, the movie's billboards were redesigned to feature McLean, a gesture that honored his significant role in the film and his enduring impact. The film garnered worldwide critical acclaim and achieved commercial success, grossing over $28 million at the box office, a significant return on its modest $1.35 million budget. Lenny McLean left behind a loving family, his wife Valerie, whom he married at the age of 20, and their 2 children. Their daughter, Kelly, now a mother of 2 herself, and their son, Jamie. McLean often spoke of his family as his grounding force, the ones who helped him steer clear of a life fully consumed by crime. He credited them for the self-control he exhibited during his fights. Kelly, dealing with bipolar disorder, has speculated that her father might have shared this struggle, shedding light on the personal battles McLean faced. Lenny McLean's autobiography, The Guv'nor, co-written with Peter Gerard, was published in August 1998, just after McLean's passing. Its initial release of 3,000 copies quickly soared in popularity, climbing to the top of the bestsellers lists. In 2001, Gerard released another book on McLean, titled The Guv'nor: A Celebration. Continuing his legacy, McLean's widow, Valerie, collaborated with Gerard to publish Married to the Guv'nor in 2003, and also contributed a foreword to Anthony Thomas's 2007 book, The Guv'nor Through the Eyes of Others. The story of McLean was further explored in The Guv'nor Revealed: The Untold Story of Lenny McLean by Thomas and Lee Wortley, released in October 2017. In July 2018, McLean's daughter Kelly, with ghostwriter Lee Wortley, shared her perspective in the book, My Dad, the Guv'nor. As we close this video of Lenny McLean's life, a complicated figure emerges from the shadows of London's underworld. McLean was a man of contradictions, embodying both ferocity and warmth. He lived by a simple yet profound code. He responded to kindness with kindness, and to violence with extreme violence. This creed defined his existence, from the gritty streets where he fought with no mercy, to the moments of tenderness within the walls of his home. McLean's legacy is etched in the memories of those who knew him, and in the tales that continue to be told. His life, marked by battles both physical and personal, reminds us of the manifold aspects of human existence. In remembering Lenny McLean, we acknowledge the full spectrum of his life: the fighter, the actor, the family man, and the legend. Rest in peace, the Guv'nor. If his story has moved you, or if you have more to add to the narrative of the King of the Cobbles, please contribute to the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Dark Sleuth Secrets for more content that delves into the fascinating stories of unique individuals like Lenny McLean. Until next time, stay curious and keep sleuthing.
That was a great documentary. Shout out to Dark Sleuth Secrets. When I look at Lenny McLean or McLean, I just see an energy that's familiar as far as just that darkness. When it comes to, like, people who have, man, I mean that child abuse, that child trauma. It really, there's this show called Evil, right? And then Evil, they're trying to, like, there's a scene where this one guy's trying to get this, they're fighting in court. He's trying to get this young kid locked up for something that he knows he's really innocent for. Whole time, this guy's in court is really like a demon in spirit, like a real messed up entity in spirit. And the girl, the one lawyer, she says to him, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you know this kid's innocent? And he says, because when they're young like that, that entity starts talking. He's like, because when they're young like that, they're susceptible to, pretty much easy to rob that innocence. Because once you rob that innocence as a child, from a childhood, you start creating a monster there. That Frankenstein effect kicks in. And you see it, it's a common theme. You look at, who's that one, there's this one lady, she was, I want to say, I think Colombian, the queen of, I forgot her name, but a lot of these people, look at their childhoods, you'll see some serious traumatic things happen. And, the best people get robbed of their childhood, of that innocence. And then you got some people who are just just bugged out already. But for the most part, it'd be a lot of genetic stuff passed down too, genetic memory. Like, for example, you see his daughter saying how she suffered with the bipolarness. A lot of that trauma gets passed down. That's why when you look at even in the transatlantic slave trade, which, even though they said it's a myth, the Willie Lynch letter, right? Just looking at the tactics, we know is true, whether that letter's a myth or not, but just the tactics of taking an alpha male and just cutting him up or doing whatever you do, murdering him in a brutal way in front of everyone else, so it could create that trauma cycle, and it could be passed down and going through the mother, through the kids, through the so, like, we know that trauma is passed down too. So a lot of times we can have trauma from our parents, our grandparents, and not even realize it. Some people might not even realize what that depression is, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. If I was to really sit here and start breaking it down, he definitely seems like a cool guy. Like he said, he meets kindness with kindness and violence with extreme violence. It would have been great to see him fight with the heavyweights, with the legends. That would have been awesome, for sure. It would have been awesome and see really what he could prove in the heavyweight division there. But yeah, I mean, definitely not a guy you wanna play around with. No, not at all. When you go look at all those guys in New York, doing calisthenic workouts and stuff. Look at how their bodies is ripped. That's because they took that energy of whatever may be going on in their environment and they transmuted it to a positive, right? And he definitely did that in a lot of ways, which is why he was able to leave his family so much, and he started acting in movies, and he's a very good actor. You could tell, but it's because when you authentic like that, all you gotta do is be yourself, you know, because at the end of the day, nobody can play you better than you in all reality. So, because a lot of people, people they act and they're acting that they're portraying when they're acting. You take those people and you put them on screen, those legends. I mean, you really put Al Capone on screen. You really put, certain people on screen. It's going to be like, whoa, you know, you really see the real. But with that being said, once again, this is an amazing documentary. And if you enjoyed this, definitely don't hesitate to hit that like, that subscribe, or that notification bell, and definitely go check out Dark Sleuth Secrets. With that being said, I'm looking forward to the comments, and I'll be back with more soon. Much love, yeah.